Okay, let's go. We go. There's this guy called Luke, and he's a historian, he's a doctor, and he writes all these stories about Jesus. But one day he writes this story that doesn't, on the face of it, appear to be about Jesus. It appears to be about two other blokes. And they are walking down the road one day. It's not just any day, it's the day after, a couple of days after they've just seen their best mate Jesus, who Luke normally writes about, killed. And they'd hung out with Jesus for a few years, and they'd listened to him teach, and they'd watched him do incredible things, and then they'd watched as the Romans had crucified their mate on a cross. They put his body into a tomb, and then, to make matters worse, some of their other friends, a couple of days later, decided that they'd just seen Jesus back to life. Who'd have believed it? And anybody who knows about grief will know, well, that's pretty normal. You always feel like you've just seen the person you love again. These friends of theirs couldn't wrap their heads around the fact that he died. The Romans are good at killing people. And so they're on their way home, I don't know, one of their homes, to a town called Emmaus, and it's a 7-mile walk. And on this walk, they're talking about everything that's happened in the last few days. Everything that they've seen, everything that they've heard, everything that they've thought, everything that they've questioned, everything they've second questioned. And they're discussing all the stuff that they know or that they thought they knew. I love a car share. I love maybe just piling in to jump across the city, or I love going on a longer journey with people. And if your group of mates or anything like mine, there's the navigator. There's the one who's already gone on the route planner and decided what route we should have. There's the counter navigator, the one who knows that that's what the route planner spat out, but actually there's a shortcut that the route planner doesn't know about. There's the planner who spent yesterday detailing the itinerary and emailed it and WhatsApped it to everybody. There's the sleeper. You can go to sleep at the drop of a hat, and before you've even turned up the end of the road, they're fast asleep. Head on the window. There's the DJ who's got the tunes all lined up and the playlist already and queued. There's the caterer who just brings snacks for the whole journey, and you've got more snacks than you could ever possibly eat. They're all in the back of the car. And this thing happens when you all pile in. There's this excitement, there's this buzz, there's this chatter, and everybody wants to tell each other everybody's news, and there's the old jokes, and you run through all the old stories and the in stuff that makes your group fun to be a part of. But then as you begin to clock up the miles, this thing happens where the tone of conversation changes, and exactly what happens with those two fellas on the road to Emmaus happens with me, and I'm guessing with you. You begin to talk about the deeper stuff, all that you've experienced in the past few days, which isn't just what you watched on TV or the new recipe you tried out. It also includes the stuff that's churning around in your mind, the stuff that's causing you anxiety, the parents that you're looking after, the children that you want, or the children that you've got and you don't want. Maybe it's the job and the promotion, or the sideways step you're not sure about, or the fact that you got the promotion and it still isn't fulfilling, and you're wondering whether you might have more to offer this life than what it is that you're doing at the moment. Maybe there's an illness or some grief in your family circle that's just causing you to think, I don't know if this is what I want to do. And as time goes on, trust deepens, and you're able to talk to people about spiritual questions and life questions and eating questions and family questions and love questions and things that you're learning about others, but learning about yourself, and wondering, is this who I want to be? Is this how I want to be? Do these answers that were handed down to me when I was younger, do they make sense anymore? Do I want to push any of these boundaries? Am I able to spot the presence of Jesus around me, or has that presence been killed somehow? halfway on the road to Emmaus, this third traveller arrives. And they don't recognise him, the two guys that started the journey. They don't recognise the third guy. And they start talking to him and including him in their conversation. Their conversation changes tack again. It becomes seasoned with more grace and more wisdom and more patience and more understanding. It takes on a different direction. And as he speaks into their conversation, it kind of colours in their words in a different way. And the things that they'd been questioning begin to become more concrete. The things that were concrete begin to become more questioning, but they become freer somehow. And it's like the scales are taken from their eyes. And then suddenly that's exactly what happens, and they realize the person they're talking to is Jesus. To be a disciple means spending some time in a quiet room on your own or on a bench someplace looking out over a view and investing in a relationship, beginning to understand what the voice of the Master sounds like, spending time one-on-one with Jesus. But it also, that's not enough, because then I just create Jesus, I just create God in my own image, and he begins to sound an awful lot like me. Sometimes I need to process it with others. Sometimes I need to allow them to season my thoughts and my conversation, to speak with wisdom and grace and compassion into my life and invite me to do the same into theirs. Sometimes I need to gather a few people. And it's not a group that meets every second Wednesday. It's a mindset where I say, when I'm in the car with you, when I'm on the phone with you, when I'm in your presence, when we're together, it's going to be natural for us to talk about what we watched on TV last night. It's going to be natural for us to talk about some new recipe or some new restaurant. It's going to be natural for us to wonder about Brexit or COVID. It's also going to be completely natural for us to weave into that conversation things of faith, Jesus conversations, questions that pull out of us better things, where we're able to say to the others that we're sharing the journey with, hey, I'm not a very patient dad at the moment. I need more patience. These things press my buttons. Could you help me? Could you pray for me? Could you give me some of your insight and some of your wisdom? Has anybody else got any tips? And it becomes completely natural to share those conversations. And then somebody needs a wee stop, and you got to pause all over again, and at that point the party animal cranks up the tunes. But because you clocked up miles, and because you've developed trust, you grow a relationship of empathy and compassion. You grow a relationship of understanding. You grow a relationship of depth, whereby you travel together. And when you do stop, you look back and you realize you're nowhere near where you started. You've come a long way. That is a car share.